no one getting you on my watch. So don't sweat it, Lawless.
Something's wrong.
In a reality where the multiverse exists and advanced technology allows people to travel between parallel worlds through predictable wormholes, a rogue agent named Ulas is on a violent mission to become a god. He travels from one universe to the next, hunting down and destroying every alternate version of himself. The reality of this universe is that every time he eliminates a variant, their remaining life force is divided and absorbed by the surviving versions. This process gives the survivors superhuman speed and strength that defies the natural laws of physics. Yulaw has successfully hunted down 123 of his alternate selves across the multiverse. He is now a powerful force of nature who can dodge bullets and run faster than cars on the highway. His rampage is interrupted when he is captured by two agents from the Multiverse Authority named Harry and Evan. They apprehend him and bring him back to the main headquarters in the Alpha universe to face justice for his crimes. During his sentencing for his interdimensional crime wave, Yulaw remains arrogant and confident because he believes that absorbing all of his variants will transform him into a supreme being. Suddenly, the situation takes a chaotic turn when his lover named Massey sneaks a hidden explosive into the courtroom using a rat. She detonates the device to destroy his metal restraints and create a massive distraction. Yulaw springs into action and disarms the guards with his immense physical power. He clears the room of threats in a matter of seconds before forcing his way to the transport machine. He changes the destination coordinates on the control panel and steps through a glowing portal, leaving his girlfriend behind without a second thought. His only goal is to track down and eliminate the last surviving version of himself so he can complete his mission and claim ultimate power over existence. The Multiverse Authority realizes his plan and scrambles their forces to track him down before he can finish his bloody quest and destroy the balance of the infinite universes. In another timeline, officially known as the Charis universe, the final remaining variant of Yulaw happens to be a hardworking deputy sheriff. Named Gabe, Gabe lives a relatively quiet life and has no idea that the multiverse even exists, or that an evil version of himself is hunting him down. On this particular day, Gabe is in the middle of a routine police operation to transfer a dangerous criminal known as Rotten Ronnie. As he walks through the underground parking garage, he suddenly gets a strange feeling that something is terribly wrong. His newly enhanced instincts allow him to narrowly dodge a sudden ambush. As Yulaw emerges from the shadows and opens fire on the police officers, Gabe immediately fights back and uses a prison transport vehicle to smash the ventilation area where the shooter is hiding. He is shocked when he finally comes face to face with an attacker who looks exactly like him in every imaginable way. Before Yulaw can strike the final blow against his last remaining variant, armed police backup arrives at the scene. The show of force forces the evil variant to quickly run away into the city streets. Gabe ignores protocol and chases after the identical gunman. He watches in disbelief as his doppelganger leaps over a massive concrete wall like it is absolutely nothing. Acting on pure adrenaline, Gabe attempts the exact same impossible jump and is stunned when he actually makes it entirely over the barrier, with complete ease. Unfortunately, the experienced Yulaw is waiting patiently on the other side of the wall and mercilessly shoots Gabe right in the chest at close range. Just as Yulaw moves in to finish the job and claim his prize, the two Multiverse Authority agents arrive through a glowing portal. Evan and Harry open fire and force the villain to retreat deep into the surrounding city before he can absorb the final life force. Gabe passes out from the shock and the impact of the bullet. But his protective police vest completely saves his life. He later wakes up in a confused daze and immediately goes home to his supportive wife TK. He is terrified and confused about the truly impossible things he just experienced during the shootout. Gabe spends the rest of the evening practicing his martial arts in his backyard. He is desperately trying to understand his newfound superhuman abilities, while Yulaw hides on a hospital roof preparing for his next attack. Seeking answers about his physical condition, Gabe takes his wife to the local hospital later that night. He wants to check on an injured fellow officer who was hurt in the garage shootout and get a medical scan for his own head to make sure he is not losing his mind. He tries to explain to the local police officers that the attacker was his exact duplicate. But the officers just think the trauma of the shooting is making him imagine things, while Gabe is vulnerable inside the giant magnetic resonance imaging machine. Eula quietly slips into the medical room and prepares to execute him. Suddenly, Harry and Evan burst through the hospital doors and start shooting at the interdimensional criminal. Eula is so fast and strong that he easily dodges and deflects all of their bullets without breaking a sweat. Hearing the commotion, Gabe breaks free from the medical scanner and jumps into the chaotic hospital fight. To help the two mysterious interdimensional agents, he uses his powerful kicks to push Eula back across the room. Gabe then activates the massive electromagnet inside the medical machine to rip the weapons right out of the villain's hands. Realizing he is outnumbered and disarmed, Eula smashes the expensive medical equipment with an elbow strike. He escapes the hospital in a thick cloud of smoke, leaving a trail of destruction behind him. The local police officers spot Eula on the security cameras and mistakenly assume that Gabe has lost his mind and started attacking innocent people. When a squad of armed officers tries to arrest the real Gabe, he uses his superhuman strength to easily overpower the tactical team. He handcuffs them all together in a tangled mess before escaping the situation down an elevator shaft. Agent Harry watches this display of physical power from a distance and realizes a terrifying truth. He sees that Gabe is getting stronger at the exact same rate as Eula because they are the only two variants left in existence. Evan and Harry realize they must capture both identical men to maintain the delicate balance of the multiverse, so they decide to split up to track down the targets. Evan chases after Gabe, who steals a parked ambulance to get away from the police. Meanwhile, Harry goes after Eula, who escapes the locked-down hospital building by hiding himself inside a body bag. Agent Harry manages to predict Eula's escape route and confronts his former friend on a dark street. Hoping to end the interdimensional madness once and for all, Harry warns the villain that absorbing the final remaining life force might cause the entire universe to explode into absolute nothingness, but Eula refuses to listen to reason. The two men engage in a brutal street fight, but Eula's enhanced strength is far too overwhelming for a regular agent. He easily breaks Harry's bones and leaves him bleeding on the cold pavement without showing any mercy. In a desperate final move, Harry pulls out a high-powered explosive device, intending to sacrifice his own life to permanently destroy Eula. The evil variant is far too fast and snaps the agent's neck before he can even press the detonation button. Meanwhile, Evan manages to catch up with Gabe and decides to break the rules by telling the confused police officer the absolute truth. Evan explains everything about the existence of the multiverse and the glowing, predictable wormholes that connect their different worlds together. As they talk and share this information, Eula travels directly to Gabe's home and pretends to be the loving husband so he can trick Gabe's wife TK. She quickly realizes the strange man standing inside her house is an imposter because he fails to remember the details of their very first date together before she can grab a weapon or protect herself. Eula brutally attacks her. Just as the real Gabe rushes through the front door, Gabe is forced to watch in agonizing horror as his evil duplicate murders the only woman he has ever loved. Eula then escapes the tragic scene by leaping out of a shattered glass window and disappearing into the night. The local police department arrives just a few moments later and finds Gabe crying over his dead wife's body. The terrible visual evidence leads the local cops to falsely conclude that Gabe is the murderer who violently ended her life. Evan eventually arrives at the crime scene and finds the heartbroken Gabe entirely consumed by pure, endless rage, instead of following his strict orders and arresting the innocent man. To preserve the multiverse rules, Evan makes the risky choice to team up with Gabe. He promises to help the grieving husband get revenge against the seemingly unstoppable interdimensional killer who ruined his entire life. Evan takes the grieving Gabe to an abandoned industrial factory and explains his dangerous plan to trap the evil Eula. The young agent plans to force the unstoppable villain directly through a scheduled interdimensional wormhole that will open in exactly 10 minutes. Eula tracks the two men down to the dark facility and immediately uses an explosive stolen warhead to blow up a metal walkway. The fiery explosion separates Evan from the enraged Gabe. Just as the final battle officially begins, the young agent bravely faces off against the incredibly powerful villain, But his regular human fighting abilities are completely useless against Yulao. The evil variant quickly breaks Evan's ankle and prepares to end his life with a single devastating blow, just a fraction of a second before the fatal strike actually lands. Gabe drops down from the dark upper levels of the massive factory. He is completely ready for the ultimate showdown to finally avenge his murdered wife. The two identical warriors strip off their heavy outer shirts to easily tell each other apart and furiously clash in an explosive display of martial arts mastery. The brutal physical fight is incredibly intense, with both men moving at blinding superhuman speeds and destroying the heavy steel machinery all around them with just their bare hands. Initially, Gabe struggles to keep up with the villain because his blinding emotional anger makes his physical movements incredibly sloppy and predictable. Yulaw easily capitalizes on these mistakes and brutally lands several bone-crushing hits that forcefully send Gabe crashing all the way down to the lower concrete floor, fully believing he has finally won the ultimate fight. Yulaw waits to feel the incredible sudden surge of absolute godlike power. Nothing actually happens to his body at all because the highly resilient Gabe refuses to stay down and quietly die, tapping into his pure mental focus and his defensive traditional martial arts training. Gabe slowly rises from the dusty rubble. He completely changes his aggressive fighting style to be fluid and entirely calm. The highly destructive battle furiously rages on as Gabe begins to easily block Yulaw's aggressive, desperate attacks. He smoothly counters with impossible physics-defying physical strikes that finally give the hero the complete upper hand in the fight. Highly explosive, bright sparks fly and massive heavy metal structures collapse all around them as the truly brutal fight continues in beautiful cinematic slow motion. Gabe eventually lands a devastating flying kick that forcefully sends his evil duplicate violently flying entirely across the massive room. This final blow perfectly lands just as the injured Evan yells that the glowing blue interdimensional portal is about to completely open in the high ceiling above them. Feeling desperate to finally win the ultimate battle, Yulaw aggressively grabs a heavy metal axe from the damaged wall. Gabe is completely ready for the desperate attack, and very quickly disarms the evil villain before delivering a rapid series of punishing blows that finally defeat the exhausted criminal. An unexpected secondary explosion violently rips through the unstable burning factory and forces the victorious Gabe to painfully remove his burning clothing. He slowly drags his exhausted, beaten body directly toward the glowing extraction point. While the flames furiously burn all around him, the giant blinding blue wormhole suddenly tears open in the dark, smoky ceiling and violently sucks all three injured men directly out of the crumbling building. The powerful portal safely transports them directly back to the busy Multiverse Authority headquarters in the Alpha universe. The strict armed guards immediately surround the three severely injured men, and the highly deceptive Yulaw desperately tries to cruelly trick the main supervisor. The evil variant loudly demands that they completely send the innocent Gabe directly to the terrifying electric execution chair instead of him. They are just mere seconds away from permanently banishing the innocent Gabe to a hellish, dark prison world. When Evan finally regains his physical senses, the brave young agent urgently points out the visible permanent wedding ring imprint entirely left on Gabe's left finger, which absolutely proves his true identity to the guards. The heavily armed officers quickly swap the two identical men and violently teleport a loudly screaming Yulaw directly to the brutal, dark Stygian penal colony. Yulaw is instantly surrounded by a massive, truly endless army of violent, angry inmates. The exact second he arrives in the dusty, dark prison, instead of showing any actual physical fear, Yulaw loudly declares to the entire universe that he will absolutely always be the strongest man alive. He immediately begins fighting the truly endless, brutal horde of charging prisoners in a massive, bloody, violent battle that will last for the rest of his incredibly long, miserable life. Back at the busy headquarters, the remaining agents slowly prepare to send the innocent Gabe directly back to his original home timeline. Evan sadly realizes that his new brave friend will undoubtedly be permanently locked in a dark, cold prison forever for the truly terrible, violent crimes his evil variant publicly committed. Feeling incredibly deep emotional sympathy for the heartbroken man who lost absolutely everything he ever loved, Evan decides to entirely break the strict rules. He bravely takes complete manual control of the massive teleportation machine and completely redirects the final destination coordinates to safely send Gabe to a peaceful, distant universe set firmly in the very recent past. Gabe peacefully wakes up on a beautiful, sunny street and smiles brightly as he slowly walks directly into a quiet veterinary clinic. He happily gets to meet his beloved, wonderful wife, TK, all over again, and finally start a truly brand new, happy life, completely free from the endless, terrible violence of the dangerous hidden multiverse.